Hello everyone, Kira here, creator of the Urbanweave project. I'm super excited to share with you today what I've been working on. The project's based on turning construction waste into vibrant public spaces for communities through sustainable systems and collaboration. So, the challenge. The project tackles two major issues: the ever-growing overwhelming construction waste issue and the lack of engaging public spaces. So Urbanweave addresses both of those by taking one and giving to the other, by repurposing what we typically would discard. So looking at the construction industry, the construction sector contributes to 36% of greenhouse emissions, 50% of raw material extraction, and 35% of waste generation in Germany. On the other hand, in terms of the public spaces, we too often see these public areas created by urban developers that fall short of true community needs. They serve more of a regulatory checkbox rather than functional, engaging environments. This is happening because of rapid urbanization, which often prioritizes speed and cost rather than quality and sustainability. So what if? What if we viewed buildings not just as structures, but as potential sources of new materials? So Urbanweave uses this idea, turning construction leftovers into what Berlin's public space will be made of in the future. So how do we do this? So when a building in the city is torn down to build something new, selected construction waste is harvested from the demolition site and used to create this Urbanweave mix that is both sustainable and shapeable. So once that happens, we are able to create an engaging public spaces for the communities, by the communities, to come together. Our process begins with what we are calling the Urbanweave mix, a combination of repurposed aggregate and eco-friendly binders shaped into any furniture or space that invites social interaction and fosters community. So by replacing the aggregate within the standard mix with construction waste, we are able to replace up to 70% of recycled material. So this first round of prototypes that you see here test different compositions of recycled materials, specifically used recycled aggregates from construction waste concrete, where we're looking at durability, porosity, and typology. So as you can see, we are balancing the mixes. In the first one, we have a dry, tight mixture using the larger aggregate stones that give a lot of space and porosity between the pieces, but it's quite rough. And the second two, we play with the water content and the fluidity of the block as it sets. And here you can see that actually the block is almost like marble as it dries. So this is also quite interesting as to how the two can come together in terms of maybe the interior and the exterior of the spaces. So looking at the sustainable life cycle of the project and taking the construction take-make waste linear system and seeing how at the demolition, after the demolition phase, what the Urbanweave mix does is we take the construction waste at this point, save it from the landfill, remanufacture it to become its own secondary material and goes up into the building materials section. I wanted to then understand the sustainable life cycles of the initial life cycle. So looking at the construction industry and how we save waste in order to create a recycled Urbanweave public space and how that can infinitely loop within itself. This can be made easier by color coding specific types of waste in the materials, so this is easier to demolish and remanufacture. But I also wanted to look at the end of the life cycle of all life cycles. And I was looking into the bio-element of a very porous block. So the next testing would be to look at how a very porous system could actually allow for nature to grow within it, and then once that is broken down to become part of to return to nature, essentially, as a harboring of an ecosystem. Scalability. So once we perfect the sustainable mix, the possibilities for scaling up are limitless, from local projects to global implementation. So collaboration is a key part in the Urbanweave project, which sits somewhere between the private sector, the public sector, and the community. The project itself is based in a key element of collaboration, bringing the public and the private sector together, combining private sector innovation with public resources to tackle this urban challenge effectively. And these are a few of the systems that we hope to impact with the Urbanweave block in terms of the public sector and the private sector. Next steps. Material exploration, so further understanding the material testing and different waste aggregates. So at the moment, as I mentioned, we're using the recycled aggregate from from used concrete, but what I would like to try and do is use different types of construction wastes to replace the aggregate, namely tiles, glass, and metal elements. The bio properties to further explore the porosity element in terms of how we can figure out how to grow something within it. And the scalability element, which is once we hone in on a formula that works, it can be anything at any scale. And concurrently, what I would like to work on is outreach, so reaching out to local municipalities to discuss and share this idea, exploring the impact in terms of the private sector benefit and extents that the Urbanweave block could have. A little bit about me. I'm Kira, an architect and stone enthusiast. Urbanweave was born in the fast-paced world of luxury fashion architecture where I worked, where I witnessed the relentless wasteful cycle of tearing down and rebuilding interiors to meet the industry's demands. This waste of material got me thinking about how we could do things differently. And working directly with industry makers taught me a lot about materials, materiality, and their endless possibility. So Urbanweave is my way of changing the narrative, using what we already have to build a sustainable future for our cities. Thank you.